Well, the U.S. economy shrank in the first quarter. The Commerce Department, in fact, reporting the GDP plunged at an annual rate of 2.9%. That's the worst quarter since the Great Recession. So could the economy get back in shape this summer? Uri Man is a financial and business analyst and a former investment and corporate bond manager at Barclays Capital. Those statistics are pretty alarming when you think about it. First of all, this is greatly affecting small businesses. Why don't you explain some of the problems affecting small businesses?
Yeah, good afternoon. Let's start with a staggering, ridiculous number. In the United States this past year, small businesses spent 7.6 billion hours just trying to comply with the U.S. tax code. So this is a problem that we've had for a long period. It's not just under the current administration, but for a couple decades now, small businesses have really suffered because they've not been able to deal with the complicated tax code that we have. So facing a difficult tax code and an environment where it's very difficult to get a loan to start a business, very difficult to start a business in general, where you have a tremendous amount of regulatory burdens.
Right.
Small businesses have really suffered, and small businesses have really been the reason for most economic rebounds, and we just haven't seen that here in the US.
And you blame the government for helping big business and neglecting small businesses. And some of the problems that you point out here are that regulations that raise the costs of doing business and in the tax code that actually penalizes small businesses. Why would the government penalize small businesses?
Well, it's not really me blaming the government, but most economists will tell you that basically when you keep interest rates low, you're punishing savers. And when savers can't put money in the bank and save money and get a decent return, the banks don't have money to lend to small businesses. So keeping interest rates low, it's really fueled the stock market, it's helped the real estate industry, but it's not helped the small business person, that person who's out there trying to start a business.
Right. So
it's a pretty difficult environment if you're a small business person to start a business today.
In the world of the unemployment that we live in, a lot of people who cannot get hired by larger businesses are starting small businesses and they're starting new careers. So obviously we need to have incentives out there for people who want to become entrepreneurs midway through their careers. Let's talk about some solutions. For example, waive all fees to start new businesses and tax reform that actually includes reducing the corporate income tax, which currently exceeds 40% in some states. Talk about that.
Yeah, most people don't realize, but the United States has the highest corporate tax rate in the world.
Right.
It's the highest in the OECD. I mean, it's higher than even high tax rate countries like Sweden, France. I mean, we have the highest. It's actually pretty ridiculous. If you want corporations to succeed, you certainly don't want to be the least competitive country in the world to start a business, and that's what we are, having the highest corporate tax rate. So that's a big problem.
Right.
The other thing is you want to let companies get started easily. You don't want to have lots of upfront fees. For example, I'm a real estate developer. Today, if I want to build a building, I've got to pay municipalities millions of dollars in upfront fees even before I start construction on the project.
Yeah, too much red tape.
Way too much red tape, absolutely.
All right, and you say one of the problems is the lack of skilled workers, and that in fact immigration reform that increases the pool of skilled workers and potential new entrepreneurs could be a solution?
Yeah, immigration reform has long been sought after. Many people have thought of it as a great way to get the economy back on track. We have millions of people working in the shadow economy who are basically undocumented, illegal residents in the country. If we bring them into the economy, make them taxpayers, it's going to have a huge boost to the economy in the medium term. It may be short term, it may be difficult for us, but with the right fees for bringing people into the country, into the tax system, that will really help. The other thing is, you look at all our great universities across the country. We have millions of PhD students and master's students in highly skilled areas who graduate every year and can't stay in the U.S. and can't work in the U.S., so they go back to their country. So we're losing our most important people.
Thank you very much for talking to us all the time we have, but a good point. Uri Man, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Under the USA